Good afternoon, everybody. What's going on, everybody? Friday, January 31st, 2024. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority. Alrighty, good. Wasn't sure if we had a little tech issue there. Got that all cleared up. Very good stuff. What's happening, everybody? Sorry about that. Started off a little weird at the moment. I know it says we are going to be live with my friend Kristin Sokoloff today, but we also have a White House press briefing that is set to start at 1 p.m. Carolyn Levitt is usually rather punctual, so we're going to throw it to that once that begins. Want to say hello to everybody watching real quick. Also, we've got a chat. We've got a chat about I know Jeremy will be waiting for this, but yeah, not a chance we're getting Canada. 0% chance. Just putting that out there. Just putting that. It's a prediction I have. We'll talk about it later, my friend. Guys, hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Make sure you guys are following the LFA TV page. We are so close to 100,000 subscribers here on LFA TV, 100,000 followers. I'm liking it a lot. Let's get this live chat up onto the screen. I want to say hello to everybody before we throw it over to Carolyn Levitt. She should be starting relatively soon. How is it going, everybody? Jeanette, how are you? Tim, how are you? Ashley, what's happening? What's happening, everybody? Bad Moon, hello. Deb, what's happening? Once again, guys, we are waiting on the White House press briefing from Carolyn Levitt. I'm sure she will talk all things. I'm sure she'll talk about all things that have to do with the plane crash. Obviously, the more and more details about that are coming out every single day, and it doesn't get any less tragic. The more we hear about it, right here we go. Right now, we are awaiting the White House press briefing from Carolyn Levitt. The podium remains empty at the moment, but as soon as that comes out, we are definitely going to throw it to Carolyn because I want to see. I want to see what she's got to say. Diane, how are you? Leanne, how are you? Guys, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. Share the video out. If you're watching on Facebook, do me a favor, hit the @ button and tag your friends, tag your followers so that they can see the show as well. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, bing, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. We go live at noon at 1 p.m. every single day. Oh, here we go. Carolyn is up. Here's Carolyn Levitt.
With you. I want to provide an update on President Trump's actions in the wake of the catastrophic air collision that tragically claimed the lives of 67 people at Reagan National Airport on Wednesday night. Everyone in this White House continues to mourn the victims and keep their friends and families in our thoughts and prayers during this unimaginable time. First, within moments of the collision, the president and his newly appointed team were in immediate communication. The president was briefed on Wednesday evening following the crash, again on Thursday morning, and he has continued to receive updates as recovery efforts continue on the ground. The president, as you know, took time to address the nation yesterday afternoon. To deliver accountability, President Trump swiftly signed a memorandum directing an immediate assessment of the Federal Aviation Administration to ensure the federal government is maintaining the highest personnel and policy aviation safety standards. The memorandum directs the Secretary of Transportation and the FAA Administrator to immediately review all hiring decisions and changes to safety protocols made during the prior 4 years and to take all necessary corrective actions to achieve uncompromised aviation safety. The review will include a comprehensive assessment and reversal of any deterioration in hiring standards and aviation safety standards and protocols during the previous administration. Aviation safety was addressed by President Trump before this tragic collision even took place. On his second day in office, the president signed a memorandum to immediately stop Biden DEI hiring programs and return to non-discriminatory, merit-based hiring. And in 2018, during President Trump's first term, the Department of Transportation announced it would put an end at that time to use the biological questionnaire that was introduced by the Obama administration, which punished skilled applicants. President Trump has long led on the issue of aviation safety, and he will continue to do so. He will continue to deliver on the promises he made to the American people at record speed. The Senate has already confirmed 8 of President Trump's exceptional cabinet nominees, including most recently Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, as you of course know, EPA Secretary Lee Zeldin, and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, who is scheduled to be sworn in later today. We expect the Senate to continue quickly confirming the remainder of President Trump's well-qualified nominees in the days ahead. Earlier this week in the East Room, the president proudly signed the Laken-Riley Act into law, surrounded by Laken's loving parents and sister. This common-sense bipartisan law mandates the federal detention of illegal aliens who are accused of theft, burglary, assaulting a law enforcement officer, and any crime that causes death or serious bodily injury, like the animal who murdered Laken-Riley in cold blood. This was the first piece of legislation President Trump proudly signed as the 47th President of the United States, and it will guarantee that Laken did not die in vain. As Laken's mother, Allison, tearfully said during the signing event, President Trump said he would secure our borders and that he would never forget about Laken, and he hasn't. He's a man of his word, and we trust that he will fight for the American people. Those are the words of Laken's mother, and we will never forget them. So to help lock up even more criminal illegal aliens, President Trump signed a memorandum this week to detain them at Guantanamo Bay. This action will expand the Migrant Operations Center at Naval Station Guantanamo Bay to full capacity to provide critical extra detention space for high-priority criminal illegals. Our brave ICE agents continue to arrest more and more of these types of individuals every day in communities across our country. And I have more updates for you. On January 27, 2025, ICE Chicago arrested a citizen of Guatemala who has been convicted of solicitation to meet a child, disturbing, and sentenced to 24 months probation. On January 28, 2025, ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of South Korea who has been convicted of 9 counts of possession or control of material depicting minors in sexually explicit conduct. On January 28th, ICE New York arrested a Mexican national previously charged by the state of New York for attempted murder and possession of a weapon and assault. And on January 28th, ICE Philly arrested a citizen of Mexico who has been convicted of possession of child pornography. Our message is simple. If you are a criminal illegal alien, you will be arrested and deported. On another important matter, the nation's report card was released this week, and the news is not good. It showed that U.S. students had record low reading comprehension scores last year. It's National School Choice Week, and in part of the president's commitment to education, he just left a roundtable in the Roosevelt Room focused on this issue with leaders from across the country. The national report card showed that 70% of 8th graders were below proficient in reading, and 40% of 4th graders did not even meet the basic reading levels. This is completely unacceptable to the president, and he continues to take aggressive actions to address this education problem in our country. He signed an executive order this week prohibiting federal funding of the indoctrination of our children, including radical gender ideology and critical race theory in the classroom. The president believes American education should focus on cultivating patriotic citizens who are ready for the workforce. And this action will help get schools back on track and defend fundamental parental rights in education. The president also signed a school choice executive order expanding educational freedom and opportunity for families. And in lighter news, but in exciting news, after announcing our briefing room changes on Wednesday, this White House has received more than 10,000 submissions from individuals across the country who are eager to join all of you. We might have to make this room a little bit bigger to do that, who want to participate in our new media seat at a future briefing. So in this seat today, we have the Ruthless podcast. They humbly started by entertaining small audiences on Capitol Hill, but after 4 years, This program has become one of the most influential podcasts in America. They previously reached #1 on the charts and earned over 25 million downloads as they deliver political news with a humorous touch. The hosts are Josh Holmes, Michael Duncan, Comfortably Smug, and the man joining us today, John Ashbrook. So with that, I will take your questions. John, please kick us off.
Thank you very much. Caroline, in your first briefing, the media went after this administration for deporting illegal immigrants they claimed were not criminals.
That's
The
right.
question is, do you think they're out of touch with Americans demanding action on our border crisis?
The media out of touch? I think that media certainly is out of touch, and I think that's proven by a number of things, John. Number one, there was a New York Times poll that was released prior to President Trump's inauguration by the New York Times, which of course is a legacy media outlet, that showed that 83% of Americans support deporting the individuals that you mentioned, illegal immigrant criminals, especially those who have committed heinous crimes in the interior of our country. And I received a very actually interesting statistic on this front from ICE this week. 97% of the deportations that this administration has made thus far are of individuals who had a removal order from the previous administration, but were never removed from the interior of our country. So this shows that the previous administration was actually defying our laws, and all this administration is doing is simply following the laws, the immigration laws of this great country. Thanks for the question, John. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, great. Peter.
Thanks, Caroline. If President Trump is telling us that air traffic control towers are staffed with unqualified controllers, these DEI hires who never should have been brought on, then it's not safe to fly commercially, is it?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday, and he believes that it is still indeed safe, and Americans should feel safe traveling our skies. With that said, two things can be true at the same time, and we certainly have seen the deterioration of federal hiring standards at the Federal Aviation Administration, and the president wants to increase those standards. He wants pilots in this country who have the great responsibility of flying American citizens by the tens of millions every single day to be chosen for that position based on their merit and their skills. And so the administration will prioritize this.
Was the air traffic controller in the DCA tower on Wednesday night hired or not fired at some point because of his or her race?
That investigation is ongoing, and so when we have updates on the exact individuals who were involved in the collision, including the air traffic controller, also the pilots of the helicopter and others, we will confirm those. I don't want to confirm names from this podium today. We're not in a position to do that. But I will say the president has still rightfully pointed out that there has been problems with the aviation industry over the past several years. And this started under Barack Obama in 2014.
And when the president says on Truth Social, the Black Hawk helicopter was flying too high by a lot, it was far above the 200-foot limit, that's not really too complicated to understand, is it? Is he suggesting a helicopter malfunction or a crew error or a crew doing this intentionally?
No, the president is simply stating what he said in that True Social post, which is that the helicopter was flying higher than it should have been, which is one of the reasons that led to this collision. And the other reasons for that are still being investigated, and I will let that investigation play out. Kelly.
Some of our colleagues have obtained a memo from the Defense Intelligence Agency that talks about not holding any activities or programming related to Black History Month to be in line with the president's views on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Does the president plan to have a proclamation about Black History Month? In his first term, each of the 4 years of his term, he did so and called on those in government to have programming activities and celebrations. Is he going to do that this year?
Yeah, the president looks forward to signing a proclamation celebrating Black History Month. I actually spoke with our great staff secretary. It's in the works of being approved, and it's going to be ready for the president's signature to signify the beginning of that tomorrow.
If an agency is calling off those kinds of activities in an attempt to be in alignment with the president's views on DEI and other things, should they adjust that now and have those programs and make those celebrations however they see fit in the office?
The president is leading here at the White House, and I'll leave it to the proclamation that he will sign very soon. Mary, great to see you.
for having us. So I wanted to follow up on the gender executive orders you mentioned. First of all, we know that President Trump has taken a bunch of steps to protect children from irreversible transgender procedures. Is he interested in backing congressional legislation on this point? And does the Trump administration have interest in investigating doctors who perform these irreversible procedures on kids, such as a double mastectomy on a minor girl?
Well, the president has already taken a very strong stance on this issue this week with the signing of his executive order, a few executive orders in this space. First, he made it the official policy of the federal government that there are only two sexes, male and female, and we have directed all federal agencies to comply with that policy. As for congressional legislation to support the president's agenda in this space, and certainly ending the mutilation of young children, the chemical castration of young children, which is a barbaric practice that the vast majority of Americans do not support for young minor children. Certainly the president would support Congress's efforts, as he has already made that very clear this week. Jennifer.
On Rick Grinnell's trip to Venezuela to meet with Nicolas Maduro, is there anything you can share on timing on that, what his agenda is, what the mission of that trip is?
Yes, so I can confirm that Rick Grinnell is in Venezuela today. I can confirm that Rick Grinnell is going to Venezuela, or is in Venezuela, with two immediate directives from the President of the United States. Number one, Rick Grinnell has been instructed to identify a place and ensure that repatriation flights of Tren de Aragua members, Venezuelan nationals who have broken our nation's will land in Venezuela. As I said at this podium a few days ago, we expect every nation on this planet to cooperate with the repatriation of our citizens, and so Rick Grinnell is in Venezuela to ensure that can continue. And number two, Rick Grinnell is in Venezuela to ensure that all U.S. detainees in Venezuela are returned home. That's his mission, and I will provide a readout after this trip.
On Bob Menendez, can you tell us if anyone has approached the White House or the president about a pardon or a commutation?
I have not been part of those discussions. If they have, I am not sure if they have, but I won't speculate on potential pardons that may or may not happen. To my awareness, the answer is no. Justin.
Hey, friends at Reuters are reporting that the president has made a decision on the Canada and Mexico tariffs, but that they won't actually be implemented until March 1st. I was wondering if you could confirm that and talk through some of the president's thinking there.
I saw that report, and it is false. I was just with the president in the Oval Office, and I can confirm that tomorrow, the February 1st deadline that President Trump put into place at a statement several weeks ago, continues. The president will be implementing tomorrow a 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, and a 10% tariff on China for the illegal fentanyl that they have sourced and allowed to distribute into our country, which has killed tens of millions of Americans. These are promises made and promises kept by the president.
The president yesterday said that last night he was planning to discuss whether an exemption would be made on oil imports. Do you have any information on what decision he made there, or will there be exemptions at all offered under this?
I don't have an update or readout for you on the exemptions, but those tariffs will be for public consumption in about 24 hours tomorrow, so you can read them then. Stephen Nelson.
Thank you very much, Caroline. I have three questions, if that's all right. I'd like to ask you about press freedom and then about two economic matters. On press freedom, on Tuesday, you announced plans to roll back the more restrictive press badge policy of the Biden White House. But there's a different anti-press freedom policy I wanted to ask about. The Biden White House adopted a mysterious pre-screening process for journalists allowed into large event spaces that in the pre-pandemic phase of the first Trump term were open to all journalists on campus. This effectively limited the diversity of reporters present and blocked the asking of questions that large segments of the American public wanted answered.
I would love to keep showing you guys that, but that feedback is incredibly annoying. That feedback is incredibly annoying. It's not coming from me. It's coming from them. But I'm sure they will fix that in the coming days. I don't know what the hell that is, but that was getting incredibly annoying. And I'm sure it was incredibly annoying for all of you guys. In just a minute, in a little bit, we're going to be joined by my friend Kristin Sokoloff. We're going to be talking all things Trump first week, Trump second week. It's been wild, you know, and I just want to say that I do appreciate all of you guys, you know, sticking around through the media craze that has been over the first 2 weeks of this administration. I mean, even if it wasn't the flurry of stuff that Donald Trump has put in, whether it's tariffs or executive orders or confirmation hearings or anything, or this horrific plane crash, the news has moved incredibly quickly. So, here we really do try to bring you guys as much as we possibly can in the hour that we have. So I do appreciate you guys sticking with us. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place. We got a couple of stories we are going to get to. But before we do that, guys, head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's everything you need for this phenomenal network, guys. Check out the LFA TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming monthly donors over to lfatv.us. It's lfatv.us. Also, if you guys are watching on any other platform, make sure you guys are following rumble.com/lfatv. As I've been saying it for the last couple of days, and I'm going to keep saying it until it happens, we're like 850 followers away from 100,000. I have a weird thing about odd numbers, and I don't really want, we're seeing that 99.2 is really driving me crazy. So help us get to 100,000 subscribers, as you guys have always done. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from all of you guys. We'll be right back with my friend Kristin Sokoloff. Alrighty, guys, we are back. I'm really excited to introduce you guys to my next guest. We are going to be talking all of the current events coming up, the Colombia trade war, Trump's confirmation hearings that we're going to be having over the next couple of days. And we hear a lot about Portland in the press, and I'm curious what it's like to actually be there, what it is actually like to be there amongst some of the scariest people I've ever seen in my life. So, guys, please welcome my friend Kristin Sokoloff. There we go.
You got it. No,
Got
the scariest people, scariest looking, I guess you would say.
Scariest looking up there for sure in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, which
it is beautiful.
It is a shame that it has gone the way it has. Simply, I was in Seattle a couple of years ago, and it was like I had to close one eye because I was like, it's so gorgeous here, but I just don't want to see any of that.
That's a really funny way to look at it. Yeah, close one eye might appear better than
that's
reality.
What it was like. You got the mountain in the back there in Seattle, and then you just have to look away from the people shooting up in the street. But
I know.
Look, I'm from New York, so we just do that in the subway when it gets a little chilly outside. But
hey, something you might not know about me. I married a guy from Long Island. I know when I saw your area code pop up, I'm like, wait a minute, Suffolk. And also, I lived in New York City for a year, so I had to commute on the N and the W. So I had that little experience myself as well.
Well, I think it is, without knowing him, without knowing anything about him, he's from Long Island, particularly Suffolk. He must be awesome. It's something that happens out here on the East End. We just awesomeness just arises. I have to say that for everyone watching from Nassau County.
Yeah, of
because
course.
we're better than them. But the first week of the Trump administration has been out of control.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling everybody that they're like, how do you keep up with all of the craziness, with all the executive orders, the pardons, the fact that Donald Trump started a trade war before his round of golf and finished it before the back nine? Like, what did you make of the Colombia situation? Because I've long said, what is the point of America being the world's last superpower, as they like to say, without exerting almost any influence anywhere around the world?
Right. I know. It was so boss, right? Like he did it all while golfing. He was tweeting right there while he's sitting on the golf cart. I mean, it's so Trump. And it's basically, a lot of people have been putting this meme out there, and it's FAFO. We all know what that stands for. And that really is it. I mean, within an hour, we had Colombia going from rejecting flights of their own people coming back to where they're now, okay, all right, they, bowing down. And that's just how you have to do it. And absolute boss move.
I just want to say congratulations to all the Colombian criminals that will be going back. You got a seat upgrade. You went from a military cargo plane to a presidential plane.
I know, right?
I can't get upgraded on Delta to save my life, but these guys are now going. They went from the back of a cargo plane to a G5. Not bad, guys. I mean, it's going to be quite the experience when they get off of there. G5 jet and they end up in Bogota. But it is so shocking that so many on the left were like almost, and they've been doing this with a lot of countries, with Venezuela, with Haiti, with Mexico, where they're like, well, they're not taking them back because they don't know who they are. And I'm like, wait, did you just say that? Like, that's why we don't want them.
I know. They're not vetted. Yeah, it's just insane. So it's about time. I have people asking me, how do you feel about things? I'm like, it's wonderful. Like I don't get caught up in, they're breaking up families, they're sending the grandmas home. No, that's really not where they're starting. We might end there. But right now we're focusing on what is the most important, is that's getting those criminals off the streets. And Selena Gomez went viral today because, she's since deleted the video, but she's crying. It has a little Mexican flag at the bottom, and she's, you can tell she's so Botoxed up. She can't even wrinkle her forehead. Nothing's moving, right? I can say that because I've never injected anything in my face.
I didn't, it's so funny you say that because I made fun of Selena Gomez yesterday about it, and I hadn't even dawned on me that she was crying, but her face wasn't moving.
Her face isn't moving. And she's all puffy. She looks older than she really is because she's injected so much stuff. They call it pillow face. But, you can't even, she's crying. And so virtue signaling, right? We see a lot of that here in Portland. And she's talking about how they're targeting her people and mistreating her people. And the thing is, if you go and look back, I did a quick look back over 2 years of her posts. I don't see a single time her shedding a tear for people, from like Mexicans that live here legally, not illegally, women that have been murdered by people who are here illegally. I don't see her shedding tears there or even mentioning it. So it's just, it's that virtue signaling I'm getting real sick of.
You know what? That is the one thing that I feel like is the first sort of nut to crack when it comes to a lot of these people, because just the fact that she had to take it down, let me know that because like somebody like Selena Gomez, she's been famous her whole life. She's been extraordinarily famous her entire life. She probably hasn't heard the word no in like 15 years. She puts out this ridiculous video where she's crying because there's nobody left to clean her and her friends' houses. And now, like, she gets this onslaught, and I don't online, dog piling they call it or whatever.
Right.
But if you say something stupid, people are gonna dog pile on you, and it turns out like 70% of Americans are like, nah, bro, you gotta go. We saw the video of Tom Homan arresting a pedophile from Thailand. So like, it's not Mexicans. Thailand's like really far away. So you got to get on like a $3,000 flight to get to Mexico City, then come to America. I can't afford. I can't afford to get to the West Coast. Somehow these people are affording to get from Thailand to Mexico.
I know, and that's when Dr. Phil was right there too. And then the guy was like, "Yeah, my mom's a U.S. citizen." He's like, "So your mom's a U.S. citizen? How does that work?" So yeah, that was just.
Well, it looks like your mom's
outrageous.
Looks like your mom's not getting a free flight. Like,
my gosh.
Yeah, no, we're getting reports right now that apparently Mexico is taking 4,000 illegals. Many of them are non-Mexicans. Yeah, because that's the key. If this really is a Central American problem, then Mexico could very simply solve this by closing their southern border.
Right.
That would be it. That would be the whole thing.
It's true.
All right. But like I said before, I like seeing America sort of flex its muscles on the world stage.
Absolutely. It's about time.
For the last 30 years, we've done a lot of giving and not a lot of receiving back. And I think that is the Make America Great Again movement in a nutshell. We see the fires in California, and I keep asking myself, all these people we give foreign aid to, like, I wonder when they're going to, send some help for North Carolina, when they're going to send some help for tornado ravished Kansas, or floods in Florida. And I think people are starting to become a little fed up with it.
Yeah, the bottom line is they're not. We're never going to see that. So we need to scale back. We already are scaling back on foreign aid. And gosh, 2 days ago, I feel like we had a huge Trump put something else through just a few days ago where we're scaling way back. Still a few questionable things we're funding. Not quite sure what's happening there in the Middle East. But anyhow, I mean, we're making progress. You know, I saw something today and I did a little post on it. We need to defund the NGOs because now we have, for instance, a video I posted is an attorney who works for a Catholic ran nonprofit. And the whole thing is they're putting videos out there telling illegals basically how to handle themselves when they're approached by ICE with the whole objective of them staying here. And so that's funded by U.S. tax dollars.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. And you know what? I saw the what was it? The United Association of Catholic Bishops came out and they were like, you know, America really should be. I was like, wait, hold on a minute. Like, you know,
yeah.
To see J.D. Vance, a practicing Catholic, come out and go, no, like they're wrong.
Right.
The Pope, the same thing. He was like, oh, America should be taking it. I'm like, bro, you have your own country.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Vatican is its own country.
I know a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah.
Take it as many. You got a big ass wall around.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
You got a big wall around St. Peter's Basilica. Feel free. Like there's a big square there. Put up some tents. But
right.
You know that as I said, it seems like the big narrative, the overarching narrative, if you look at the future Trump administration at like a macro level, is that every world problem is not our problem.
Right.
Like, and I love every bit of it.
It's about damn time. I am so sick of getting involved in wars that are not, it's not our fight. And I love that, hey, we did some great stuff during World War II, but we need to back out and focus on our own nation because, you know, even our infrastructure, I hear people talk about, if you go around the world, I don't travel much internationally, but if you go around the world, like our infrastructure in comparison is embarrassing. A lot of us don't realize that because we don't get out as much, but we're shipping it all over the world, but we have problems here at home that we need to fix. And it's really nice to see that that's where the focus is.
Absolutely. So this week we're going to be this week shall be the fireworks week in Congress. We've got Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, and Bobby Kennedy being confirmed. I would say the most controversial ones. Shouldn't be, but will be. You know, I think that the Kash Patel one, I think that's Thursday, I want to say, is going to be the one with the most fireworks. What are you expecting out of the this? And by the way, to the Senate, congratulations on a 3-week work on a 3-day work week.
My gosh.
You know, they're doing nothing Monday and Tuesday, and I don't want them to work too hard.
But, God forbid.
God forbid, you know.
Oh my gosh.
$200,000 a year. To live in South Dakota, by the way. Like, it's not $200,000 to live in Queens or LA.
Yeah.
John Thune, you live in South Dakota, bro. Like, you can afford it. But so which one do you think will be the wildest? What do you think we'll see? Do you think we'll see any defectors like we saw with McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins for Pete Hegseth?
Yeah, we'll probably see the same thing. I'm most concerned about RFK, and here's the thing. We think about a lot of people who are independents and people that just didn't want to vote for Trump. They voted for him because of RFK, especially people in that health conscious. I know a lot of influencers online. They were all about RFK, not necessarily about Trump. And if he does not get in, there's going to be a big problem. And that's where I see the most pushback. And I do think we're going to see defectors. I mean, they've been against him since the beginning. And that's where my concern is. Tulsi also, I definitely see some issue there. But I'll be honest, I haven't looked into the stats as much with Kash Patel, but it's going to be a wild week. That is an understatement.
You know why I think it's going to be so great? Because so far we haven't seen. Pete was a little combative, Pam Bondi was a little combative, but I don't think we've seen people yet that are going to swing back.
Right.
When these senators like make up some nonsense about them.
Yeah.
And I think Kash Patel will swing back. I think Tulsi Gabbard's been on the inside. So when they make a ridiculous claim, you know, when Senator Blumenthal makes an absurd claim, which you know he's going to, she can be like, I served 3 tours. How many
Yeah.
did you serve him? Oh, that's right. You made that up. Like, that's why I want to see that. Because that's another big Trump era thing on the populist right here is that we're swinging back, man. You're not just gonna do the Mitt Romney doesn't pay his taxes and he just sits in the corner and begs not to get hit. Donald Trump has shown that, like, nah, man, you swing, you better not miss because I'm swinging back twice as hard.
Yes, yeah. No, it's going to be wild. That would be great to see because they need to be put in their place. It gets really old watching people cowtail. And I'm not saying that anything like that happened thus far, but I'd like to see a little more vigor.
Oh, absolutely. I joke around with a few members of Congress that I'm friends with, and they say that I am the only person they've ever met who has asked to be subpoenaed by Congress. Like, I would love to. Because look, you guys want to make this a show. I promise I'm a way better entertainer. Like, I will make this into a party that the likes of which you've never seen before. Like,
I'm here for it.
All these hearings always end up. I'm sure there was a time where, like, they actually meant something, but now it's a spectacle. It's great for campaign clips and hell, look, I'm gonna play it on my show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday because it's funny as hell. But, like, nothing ever really seems to get achieved by this, and it only seems to make us look stupider on the world stage. I feel.
I know the process is interesting and quite unnecessary, at least the scale of it. I mean, I'm glad we're going through due process, but the scale and the questions asked, I mean, a lot of them didn't even pertain to the job at hand.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing that I'm trying to instill in people on the right is that, you know, I might not agree with Bobby Kennedy on abortion,
right?
But that's not going to be his realm,
right?
Like I don't like. Here we go. Lee Zeldin at the EPA, his stance on abortion is mine as well. But if it wasn't, like, don't care because that's not going to be what he's doing.
Exactly.
And when you run a government like a business, I feel like you people stay in their lane a little bit more. The marketing director does the marketing,
right?
And the people on the sales floor do the sales, and that if everybody does their job, it runs quite smooth rather than having, you know, the guy who gets rid of nuclear waste also dress up in a dress and pearls and rob people's luggage. But,
oh my gosh. I mean, I'm so glad you said that because, you know, I come from the private sector. I did 20 years in corporate banking, and you would never bring up, if I was at a meeting, which, you know, you have every quarter, I would never bring up something that didn't pertain to my audience. Mm-hmm. So, but you see that all the time with government employees. They're wasting everyone's time and tax dollars ultimately. You just don't see that in the real business world. And if you were one that was bringing something up that wasn't a value add to the group, then people are going to talk crap about you, right? And you're going to have your boss is going to address you. So that's just something. Here we are. You know, it's a complete waste, and it's really nice to see that we have a businessman back in control, and he's running our country like a business, the way it should be ran.
We're going to get to more of that in a second. Once again, guys, we are with Kristin Sokoloff. There you go. Got it that time. Got it that time.
Yeah.
Guys, make sure you give her a follow. Her handle is right under her name right there. What's that? At KSOK.lower48. I like that. So, you know, it's so interesting that you say that your time in the corporate realm, you would never do that. Because now I've often explained it to people when people ask me about, like, why is Bud Light doing this? Mm-hmm. Why is this corporation doing this? And I tell them, because these young kids that come out of college, they do not see themselves as junior vice presidents of marketing.
Right.
They see themselves as activists using their platform to further the movement.
Right.
So if you're the junior VP at Bud Light, your job is not to sell shitty beer to poor people. Your job is to use your platform to promote whatever social agenda you have. And that is why we have seen such a failure of corporations. Like Bud Light just sell poor college kids crappy beer. I don't need you to do anything else. Applebee's, I don't need to know about how many, I don't need to know. Just microwave my food and overcharge me for it, and usually get it wrong.
Oh
Like
my
I don't.
gosh.
If people just stuck to what their mission was,
Yeah.
then I think they would all be a lot better. Like musicians, actors.
Yeah.
Look, Bruce Springsteen. I love your music.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jam out whenever it comes on. But shut up. Like, shut up. Selena Gomez. Like, yeah, I guess I was a fan of yours when I was 9, and then I became a teenage boy and didn't care anymore. But like watching them, I'm like, it almost makes me happier that they lost than we won, because it's time for those important people, those pretty people, to accept the fact
Yeah.
that they are not like us.
Right. Oh, you're so funny. You must be younger than me because I didn't even know who she was until a few years ago. But
I'm 35, so
okay,
I
I'm
think
43.
I think she was like, I want to say she was like, to the people that are like 30, she was like
Okay.
a Disney star. So like a
Okay.
little bit before me.
Yeah, yeah.
But that era.
Yeah,
But,
you thought she was hot back then. Got
yeah.
it.
Look, I was all about Britney. Okay,
Yeah.
Britney Spears can do as many dances as she wants with knives.
Oh my gosh.
She'll forever be my girl. That's it.
That's hysterical. Oh yeah, she's gone off the rails. She just needs a good friend, I think.
I think she needs a real friend.
I'm serious. I feel bad for her.
I think a lot of these people need real friends.
I know.
I think
I know.
they've been around pretentious,
Yeah.
famous people for so long that
Yes.
like have like assistants. I don't have an assistant. I'm doing the show by my damn self. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And I think that even goes into, you're on a podcast. I do a podcast. The watching the media sort of, or the knowledge base devolve from some of these bigger corporations.
Yeah.
The other day I saw Nora O'Donnell at CBS. She said goodbye at the CBS Evening News, and she brought the whole team out. And there was like 45 producers on a
Wow.
show that's a half hour long. And I'm
my
like, Nora
gosh.
O'Donnell, I'll give you 10 grand if you could do what I do.
Wow.
Sit here and just talk. But
Yeah.
it seems to me that everything seems to be getting more and more decentralized, and
Right.
watching the networks and watching celebrities basically just rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic has been spectacular to see.
I know it really has been. All right, you want me to tell you about what it's like living behind enemy lines here?
Yes,
in Portland?
absolutely. I got
Here's-
it. Because look, I live in New York, so
But Long Island's super conservative.
Long Island is, and we did that. I'm just saying. Well, me and all
I
my
know.
activists out there, we were kicking ass and taking names, and it was.
I
a lot.
watch.
It was fun. Look.
Yeah.
It's proof that anybody can do it.
Yeah.
We have the Hamptons and we have blue areas, but if
Yeah.
you're willing to evolve with the times, I truly believe that nowhere can't be flipped.
No, I agree with you. So again, my husband's from Long Island. All his family lives there. He's the only defector that moved out of or off of Long Island. So I don't know how I got him out here to Portland, Oregon, but I did. So I'm there almost every summer, every other summer, and it's wild to see how red Long Island really is. So keep at it. Being here, I'm 15 minutes outside of Portland, Oregon. My husband's a Portland police officer. He was NYPD when we met. So I got him out here. But, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and I knew Portland was weird, right? The whole slogan is keep Portland weird. But in 2020, it went from weird to just absolutely, just batshit crazy, pardon my French.
Oh, you're good.
And I mean, that's just the way it was. And so my husband was part of the, battling Antifa, 124 consecutive days on the streets, and little support from the community. And it was just an absolute nightmare. But the blessing of that was, I had been working from home due to COVID, and I was getting more time with the kids. And I really went from, my husband and I, it was a pissing contest. And so the two of us were always like, barely saw each other. He worked nights, I worked during the day. We were just surviving, not thriving, and at each other's throats. And when I saw what he was going through in Portland with everything going on, now the world was turning against law enforcement, something came out of me, and I was no longer at his throat anymore. I was like, I'm defending you till the day I die. Like, I have your back. I got your six, right? Talking actual cop language there.
Oh, yeah.
And I started speaking out, telling the truth about what was happening. And yeah, a lot of the outlets, the legacy media, they were saying they were mostly peaceful. So we're all past that. Here we are 4 years later. The city has gotten quite a bit, rebuilt, I would say. It's not like Minneapolis, but, a lot of people just don't go into Portland anymore. So a lot of businesses are pulling out. And so we are seeing where there's empty buildings. And so it did impact long term. But yeah, it is wild living here, because even in the outskirts where we live is it used to be a battleground county, but it's getting more and more liberal because people are moving out of Portland because of the crazy taxes and costs, and they're coming out where we are, and they're watering down our conservative politics here. So it's hard to live in a blue state when you're a conservative and feel like you don't have a voice.
Well, it's so interesting you say that it's becoming that sort of way. We saw so much of that area up there, Eastern Washington and Eastern Oregon and Northern Cali. They were like begging Idaho to take them in.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
now we're getting new maps. Like,
Yeah.
I wish there was a way I wish there was a practical way to make that happen.
I know.
We saw it happen with West Virginia, but that was 200 years ago.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to happen anymore, and it's a shame because so many. I mean, even here, we are dictated to by the policies of the people that live in the Bronx and Manhattan. Meanwhile, we're dying a slow death, and so people keep fleeing, and I see the bifurcation of America in such a wild way, like Florida getting redder, Texas, but then we see Texas getting kind of purplish, and then I'm sitting there going, all right, well, look, if Texas is getting purple, then New York's got to go purple, because if we lose Texas, that's the ball game, and and that's what concerns me so much.
That's what they want.
That's what they want.
Yeah, Texas was. But if we could see what's happening here in California, I say here because it's just below me, but what's happening in California, it could be a huge turning point for that state, and that's a lot of electoral points there that we could really benefit from. And people are sick and tired of the politics, and we are seeing them speak out about it. Even actresses and actors who have these platforms, they're pissed and they're talking about it. The thing is, are they big enough to be able to actually make a change with who they're voting for? I don't know. I don't know if they can take it that far, but they're going in the right direction with, I've always said it has to land on your doorstep. For a lot of people, it has to land on your doorstep and impact you personally before you're going to make a change. And as much as I don't wish negative things on people, I've prayed for, hey, I wake these people up. Wake, not specifically California, but just liberals in general. Wake them up. They need to know that this is not right. And I feel like that's a huge thing that happens.
Every day it's happening.
Yeah.
Every day somebody cozies up to me. Someone in my family whose name I will not say because I think they still like their marriage. Came up to me and just goes, "There's no way I'm voting for her."
Oh, good.
There's no way, and I'm looking at them going, I was like, so can I come to Thanksgiving again? But, it's exciting to, but that's why I love politics as much as I do, because there's always something new and there's always something going on. Well, Kristin, I want to thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome on anytime to let us know about the goings on up in the grunge capital of the world, in the Pacific Northwest up there. Let everybody know where they can follow you. I know you're always putting out good stuff. So
thank you so much. I'm on Instagram is my favorite platform, ksoc.lower48, and I'm also on X as ksoc uncensored, and just about everywhere else, YouTube, ksoc uncensored, TikTok, same deal. And look forward to connecting. I try to post the most, basically the latest news bits that are happening. It's exhausting, but I'm posting, trying to post 10 a day or so.
You have figured out Instagram, which I have yet to figure out.
It took me 4.5 years. They had to get rid of the fact checkers, and then now I'm visible. So
I joke
you
around.
can do it.
I just can't grow my Instagram. I guess that's just Mark Zuckerberg's way of telling me I'm not hot enough. I don't know. It's like, I just gotta be Brazilian or something because they they all seem to have like hundreds of thousands of followers, and it's not fair.
It's the political piece.
It's not
Now
fair.
that there's no fact checkers, I swear it's a different world. So get out there.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Alrighty, guys, we will be right back. Alrighty, guys, I want to thank Kristin Sokoloff for coming on, guys. Make sure you guys give her a follow over at all of her social medias. Definitely worth the follow, that I can tell you. So, as I said before, very sorry that the White House press briefing, that they haven't figured out how to fix the audio feedback, or I would have played that. Because apparently there were some absolute bangers that came out of that. Number one, Donald Trump will be planning on putting the no tax on tips policy into the budget bill. Now, this is extraordinary. This is extraordinary for a great number of reasons. Number one, I want to be clear about this. If you work for some kind of a small business, if this passes and you work for some kind of a small business, it will be entirely possible for you to pay no income tax at all. What do I mean by that? Well, I want to make it very clear. If you have a cool boss, there is quite literally nothing stopping them from paying you your entire salary in tips. You might have to take a paycheck and get $1 or pay you minimum wage, so to speak. But the Trump administration will be directing the budget council to put no tax on tips into the budget. This could be huge for people and their personal income. Here with Carolyn talking about that.
President Trump is committed to lowering taxes for Americans, cutting taxes for Americans. As for congestion pricing in New York, I do know that the president spoke with Governor Hochul about that. I don't have any, actions, so to speak, to read out for you on that issue today. Number two, when it comes to no taxes on tips and Social Security, the president has made it very clear to our allies on Capitol Hill that is a critical piece of this reconciliation package, and he expects that his tax cuts from 2017, which put a lot more money back into the American people's pockets, those must be implemented, and no tax on tips. The president is intent on delivering.
Intent on delivering. That is gigantic. Huge, some might say, for the average American citizen. I think that could... You want to talk about raising living standards amongst people working in the service industry? There is perhaps no better way on planet Earth to make that happen. No better way on earth to make that happen. Guys, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Share this video out all over the place as we rock, as we roll here, moving into the 2 p.m. hour. Before we keep going, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on over there. Also, we've got some awesome stuff. Check out the why is this happening? I gotta fix this. The Kiss Me, I'm MAGA t-shirts coming out for St. Patrick's Day, as well as these Valentine's Day cards. I know a bunch of you have gotten them. I found out the other day that these are actually one of a kind. You will not get these anywhere else, and that is because we made them. We made them individually. You quite literally will not get them anywhere else. So, guys, pick up your Valentine's Day cards over at loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on over here. Another big policy that was put out by Carolyn Levitt, or spoken about by Carolyn Levitt in that press briefing, was the fact that it turns out all you conspiracy theorists out there were proven right once again. John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, came out the other day and said that, yeah, COVID did leak from a lab. which obviously we've known the entire time. Of course, you weren't allowed to say that until Jon Stewart went on Stephen Colbert, and then suddenly it became okay to say that in public. Here was Carolyn Levitt.
Lindsay, go ahead.
In recent days, the CIA actually revealed that they do also believe that COVID-19 was from a lab leak in Wuhan, China. How is the president planning on responding to this additional intel from the CIA, and will it impact how he responds to them with tariffs?
Yeah, kudos to John Ratcliffe for revealing that truth and that fact to the American people. Many years too late, the Biden administration had a chance to let the American people know the truth about that, and for some reason, they chose not to. I also would just like to point out that several years ago, when I was working in this press shop and President Trump would take to this podium to brief the American people on COVID-19, he suggested that COVID very well may have came from a lab in Wuhan, China. And many members in this very room mocked him for that, said he was spewing conspiracy theories. He was not. We now know that to be the confirmable truth. It took many years for it to come out, but the president was right in this instance again. Sure.
President was right yet again. And as Senator John Kennedy said yesterday at the Cash Patel hearing, it seems like the conspiracy theorists are up like 37-0. It turns out the only thing that separates a conspiracy theory from the truth is usually like 18 months. You wait if you get called a conspiracy theorist, wait like 18 months, and then whatever you say will end up being true. It's not really all that challenging, guys. Just hang out a little bit. It turns out all the people who have been right all along will be right all along, or have been right all along. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm one of those crazy conspiracy. Maybe, you ready for this? Maybe maybe being a conspiracy theorist is a conspiracy theory. Let that blow your mind. Being called a conspiracy theorist is the conspiracy theory. Boom. Blow your mind. That's what I'm here to do. Guys, it's 2 o'clock. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us for all things LFA TV related. Guys, Will Johnson is coming up next with the Culture Wars. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Have a lovely weekend, everybody. Until then. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have to? No, good. There's no Super Bowl this week. Never mind. Forget that. We'll yell about that next week. Guys, until Monday, stay loud.